Mars is direct at a new moon in Pisces. Time for you to activate your new life for the new era.
It's go time on LOL.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro. Hello and welcome to Leading Out Loud, LOL. Kind of like a morning talk show that was never supposed to be on the air, just on the radio. And I am Christopher Oteki, Sensei Christopher, along with my co-host here.
Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor. How y'all doing today?
And
how y'all doing?
Okay. I'm, I don't know. Things are frumpy. We're just in time for the new moon in Pisces. That's going to happen at 9 degrees tonight. And we have the fifth. This is the fifth of 6 new moons at 9 degrees, by the way. 9 is ego, which I now call the Wego. We'll talk about that later. And this is the 5 of 6. Next month is actually in Aries. So 9 rules Aries. We had 5 at 9, and then the final one is in the 9th degree, in the 9th sign, and number 6. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's great. Awesome.
Well, it means things, Scott. We're going to talk about it today. It means it's time to take action and move forward. Come on, move with me. And some people are dragging, like you said. Some people don't want this 9 energy going on. Some people are being bitchy. A lot of bitchy people on the planet right now. We got Mars kicked up.
Yeah, it's a sluggish bone. I mean, it's really sluggish. For me personally, I feel like I'm walking in in a swamp. So I just been keeping to basics. Keeping it simple. Back to basics type of ordeal. Don't want to be overdoing things, but I can look forward to more ego in the good way, in a sense of like feeling, like I'm going to conquer the world energy. I'm kind of missing that vibe. So I can utilize some more of that. I'm going to conquer the world. I got this, I want to show what I want to express. So I can use a little bit of that energy, at this time of just being kind of back to basics. Very, very Virgo rising of me, actually, was this past month for me.
You're completely opposite of what the planets say. We just came out of a sluggish, and we went direct on Sunday, and you went sluggish. Is your Mars retrograde in your chart? No,
I don't know. I have to check. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I just know what I feel. Right?
It's the weight of the hair. It's the weight of the hair. It's really
you have to. It's weighing me down. But you have to help me with that. You have to kind of maybe look up some of my transits. But I do feel like for me the next week or so. But there's been a lot of other people that are very sluggish too. I've been seeing people getting sick. A lot of my clients have been getting sick.
Well, that's common.
Feeling a lack of drive too, so it could be a spiritual detox. So some people will get bitchy. I for one might just get a little tired, during a spiritual detox. So I think we all express it differently. But I've been seeing that essence of people being slowed down, no matter what it is, either through their ego out of balance, like say complaining, bitching, tired, health issues. I've seen a lot of people getting sick, like I said before, and a lot of my clients been dealing with like random stuff, or little delays. But I feel like that is going to pick up in the next week or so. So that makes sense astrologically, yeah.
So before we go off on a diatribe, let's talk about what's going on in the collective read in the Zodiac Weather Update, which I think you just slipped in there before the actual bit. Let me start with the update on astrology. Mars went direct on Sunday, which is a big deal because when Mars is limp, everyone feels it. It's ultimately not very impressive. I talk to women. Men have a headache. Men have a headache when Mars is retrograde. They don't feel like it. And this brings the feminine vibe way high, which is not a bad thing, but it has its own consequences on the whole planet. And so Mars has been delayed. What it was doing was redirecting our Mars energy. Whenever it retrogrades and you just don't have the spirit to do anything, you don't have the to do anything, you suddenly start thinking about small things that you would have normally done here, but now you're not. That's kind of the way it works. And so you start to re-examine. Now, Mars is first in Leo, which was, I think, easier because it was like, I don't know if my heart's into it. So that was the question. When Mars is in Cancer, it was like, this is pissing me off and I don't know why, right? And then probably about 2 months of being pissed off and not knowing why. And I think that was the Mars retrograde question. Why are you pissed? Why does this piss you off? Right? And a lot of times people are saying, oh, it's other people pissing me off.
Right.
Okay, they're reflections of you. So if they're pissing you off, that means you're pissing yourself off just like they just did. They just showed you how you piss yourself off. That's what it is. That's why you're pissed, because only you're supposed to know that. They're not supposed to do it. You know what I mean? Like, so there was a lot of reveals, and it was a really pissy Mars in Cancer. Now Mars is still in Cancer, but it's at 17 direct, which means it's time to redirect. 17, that's to an 8, that's a Capricorn. It's time to come with a new policy for how you respond to your feelings in general. And what we're teaching at SeriousJoy.com is first take care of yourself. Don't respond to anyone that pisses you off until you can approach it neutral. Because if you approach it anything but neutral, you're just creating a problem.
Sure.
You're just creating a problem. There's no way you're going to get anything good out of it, period. Because you're just going to re-inspire them, and then they'll re-inspire you. You know, like, and the two of you just go back and forth wasting time.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it's take care of yourself before others. But I also think it plays into Ascension, which we're talking about later in the show.
Yeah, and you know, and these retrogrades for me too is always like we're always so focused, laser focused on where we want to go. But I always feel like retrogrades, like you got to look over here though. Like look over here and don't forget about what you're missing over here. So I always feel like it's a realization, you know, for what I'm lacking or what I'm. Guys, the dogs are going crazy. What I'm lacking. See the retrograde energy. What I'm lacking are the things I might be overlooking. You know, and for me, like personally, I've been overlooking like I'm just burning myself out, and you know, still trying to process setting boundaries and what my bandwidth is actually able to do or not do, and what is my energetic bandwidth of what I need to be focusing on and so forth. So I've been very much hyper focusing on that lately. And it's also been, you know, when we get in those modalities, it could be very irritable. I see a lot of people be very irritable about things that they don't want to address. So that could bring it bitchiness and irritation. Oh, yeah. But to me, it's always a great realization to understand the things that need to be pacified, or the things that we have been pacified that need to not be pacified anymore, but things that we need to nurture, you know. And so I think we always need to be looking at these moments of pause or these moments of sluggishness as a way to recalibrate, but look at the things that we're not looking at and we're trying to go full force ahead. And that's what the retrograde has been definitely doing, you know, for me in that terminology, making sure that I'm not overly exerting myself emotionally or intellectually or just energetically. I've been able to kind of pull back on things that we're not so conscious of what I was wanting to pull back on before, you know? So,
well, trust me, Scott, you're not overexerting at all.
Never. Me? No.
No. No, I understand. You know what it is? It's like when the car slows down, you start noticing things that you didn't notice before, because reality slows down. There's that. Also, when you take this, when you have that ego, when the ego's drive is taken away, which is to win, to beat, to be first, you know, ego's drive is not anything spiritual at all. It's all first, the best, the greatest, the biggest. You know, like that's what drives the ego. It's driven by those things. You take that drive away, and you're like, huh, what is driving you in life? It's a real spiritual question. You know, so you're kind of left seeing what's actually pushing you, what's not. I'm a net 9 guy. I got 9s all over my chart. My staff will tell you they've hated me the last 6 weeks. You know what I mean? I don't mean petty and blame the planets, but it was a Mars retrograde. You know, like ultimately, that's my key planet.
That's what it is.
It was down.
Sure.
Mars is down. Sorry, I won't be available. But I am actually worse at Mars retrograde. I mean, I'm just not myself. I'm dropping shit. I just stubbed my toe. You know, but Mars direct now. But I do shit like that. I just hurt myself. I injure myself. I drop things. I miss things. I'm late to things. Like I'm just not sharp. You know, with it. But what it means, I think, the bigger, deeper topic.
Yeah, that's what it is. The retrograde.
It is a right. You know, I know. I work at an astrology company. I work at an astrology company. It's a human development. Our human development department is like, it is a policy. You cannot use astrology to describe poor behavior. That's like a policy they want to put out. Like, we're an astrology company. What do you mean we can't use, you know, astrology to describe poor behavior?
I mean, and these dogs right now are just wanting to like hover. Like even the energy of the dogs is like so scattered. They're want to be in here to play. They're like being loud. So I'm sorry if you hear that. So even the energy with the dogs, the pups, everywhere.
You know, everyone wants to hump your leg. Now you have that hairband. Everyone wants to hump your leg. You know, Adam and I were talking about it. So my point is, like, I think that I believe 2 things are happening. Big, serious things. One, I believe that we're graduating the age of Pisces. So
right.
We're graduating the age of Pisces. What dominated the age of Pisces? The age of Aries. The age of Aries dominated the age of Pisces. Aries are kind of brutal. Pisces are sort of soft, I'll put it that way. And I think that the age of Aries has totally brutally dominated age of Pisces the entire time. Pisces never got wind of it. They never got control of it. They never, you know, won the air. They had Christ up for a minute and he was dead. So that was it. So, I mean, the Christian church flourished, but they were riding the waves of the
Right.
age of Pisces. They were like, doing what it was supposed to be. So the point is like the ego is the problem, right? Our ego that we were, we can go way back now, but basically we're orangutans that were given special DNA from 12 different species of aliens. That's the latest on what created humans. Like seriously. And so the orangutan part of us is still very active. I'm not kidding. I'm trying to rise above it.
I
We're an
didn't get that.
avatar
Yeah.
stuck in a monkey's body. Like,
Mhm.
and so we're trying to rise above this animalistic nature of being fused with an animal, a spirit being fused with an animal. And so what this astrology
True.
shows is we are starting to rise above it. And that is what I call the Wego.
Right.
I think this Mars retrograde was to reveal all of your primitive ego parts of yourself.
Exactly. And that's
You
exactly
can evolve
yeah.
them.
That's what I was going to say, because, we're starting to really notice, what we're needing outside of that primitive energy, and that's the ascension process, is realizing, okay, it's more than just satisfying the density. And it's more than just trying to maneuver around the density. It's more than just trying to create density with density. We're starting to create from what is above now is below. So we're starting to come from more of that premise, and understanding the true divine purpose. Last week on my live show, I talked about, everyone's so focusing on checking the physical boxes and, those who are trying to get a relationship or those who are trying to get the car, the house, that's all materialism. Even the physical condition or needing a physical condition is materialism. And said, what we're starting to focus on now is what are the reasons why I want those things to begin with? Is it because I want to feel love? Well, I don't need necessarily a relationship and check that box in relationship to feel love. I can feel love now. I can be in love now by putting love into the things that I'm doing and things I'm enjoying, and that will, of course, generate and attract more love. So I think this time of awakening too is understanding the 5D initial, I would say, core response to what we're feeling, not so much the physical expression. And so, and we're starting to become more self-dependent because of that. More of a sovereign soul in a sense that we don't really need the external sources to dictate our feelings. We're like, no, I'm dictating the feeling, and I'm saying that's where manifestation really takes place. Is I'm dictating the feeling first. So that's where I feel like a lot of that ascension is happening now with the collective too.
Okay. Skipping to our next topic early. Go ahead.
Well, we're kind of just winging it this time, right? But we're becoming more heart focused.
I agree. In fact, I call it we call it the Wego for a lot of reasons, but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Unity consciousness means that if survival used to mean I have to survive, now I believe the ego is being programmed with we have to survive.
Right.
It's a we thing now.
Exactly.
We're including people. It's that simple. Now there's low vibration of that, which is like one of us has got to die. We aren't going to be together. Like there's still the evil people that be like, still not seeing their life improved until that person's dead. So there's that. But there's also light workers who are for the first time going, I'm going to include myself for the first time. Now it's a we in that regard. It was always them, right? So there's that. But there's pluralistic thinking. The ego is thinking in plural. It's thinking in tribe. It's not thinking in me, I. As I feel what's happening, which is huge. Huge.
Well, I think it's also, very huge. But I think that it's also understanding the correlation between the individual perspective in correlation to the collective, because in order to serve the collective, we have to be individual too. So it isn't really just about this or that, or, me or everybody else. It's really understanding the connection between the two, how evolution of, and I'm just kind of refining that, like how the evolution of self actually does benefit the collective, and understanding that benefit, when we express ourselves, we have to bring value somehow to ourselves and the collective. And that's the win-win part, that I can be very self-sustaining, but also it's really much affecting, helping the collective to evolve too. That's a huge breakthrough. I've been starting to see within a lot of people, but also I'm seeing more so as things evolving in the future at that, so.
Well, the age of Aquarius is they say the age of freedom, the age of individuality, the age of unique innovation. But it's paradoxical too. It's that we all make it okay for each other to be ourselves. So the collective goes, you be who you want to be. Don't try to be like the rest of everyone else. So the collective makes this collective this collective judgment of like everyone should be who they want to be, and then paradoxically everyone is who they want to be. So it's like the collective is completely not aligned but aligned at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, that paradox. Paradox is always the end.
But that's to me the kind of the side effect of the awakening process, right? You have to be
Sure.
off track to get on track, off track to get on track. So I think even just the realization being off track. So we talked backstage, like, a question was kind of like, what, who ascends? Does everybody ascend? And I said, well, sometimes people can pretend like they're not ascending, which is part of the ascension process. I know I'm jumping around, but like I figure why
You're
not?
ascending
Right?
to the next topic in the show.
Next topic, but we're like teasing it before we get into
Talking
the
about
actual
Mars.
premise.
We're talking about genitals and basic stuff here.
Yeah. But I'm just saying,
Keep it
but
gentle.
But the point about that is saying is like some people feel like they're not ascending, or some people feel like nothing's happening. I say, but the fact of just being kind of in the now right now, not being so out of the box, could help your ascension process. I'm trying to get back into that energy, that essence.
I mean, so at the end of the day,
it is ascension in new Pisces in the third corner there. So we're talking about ascension too. So
yeah, it is.
because so many people talk about ascension, Christopher, and they're like, "But I don't really feel like I'm ascending, or I don't feel like I'm having all these like it's amazing spiritual breakthroughs." I'm like, the fact of even just taking care of your own persona, your own sim character, right now is the point of that. That's part of your ascension too. That's what I'm getting at when it comes to Mars.
Oh yeah, well,
Being
Mars has
grounded.
to get on point. So to get back to Mars, our ego, the primitive part of us, which doesn't go with us. So from what I understand, talking to the company of heaven, we do not take our ego awareness. We do not take our boundary awareness when we reincarnate. That doesn't get packed in the suitcase.
Right.
There's skill sets that are reborn somehow, but not that actual motive. So in other words, if you were died angry, you're not reborn angry. You end up remembering that you were angry, like a scene after your lifetime.
Sure.
But it doesn't carry over in heaven, whatever that password is. That being, so Mars is completely programmable when you come down here. It's a programmable part of being human. And so we're being called to reprogram it. And I believe the way to reprogram it is it must answer to the heart.
Sure.
Like we have to make the heart, it cannot be, what your heart for. It has to be what your heart loves. And Mars rotates around the sun. The sun does not rotate around Mars. The solar system tells us how it works. The heart is in the center of the entire solar system. Everything rotates around it. And so I think part of our awakening is looking up at the stars. Look how it is up there, guys. Everything rotates around the heart. So if Mars were to get permission, or your ego to get permission from your heart, the world will be a better place tomorrow.
Sure. I agree.
If you can build in that discipline, right?
Sure, but I think that comes with understanding I was just saying before about that dichotomy of such. Understand the difference between heart and also attending to your own physical perspective and the Wego, right? Understanding the individual perspective with the collective. So I think all that to me is understanding the dichotomy of such, and and the necessity of both.
Mars is also a drug addiction. It's hormones. Like the hormones that fire when you're angry, the hormones that fire when you're horny, the hormones that fire when you are even depressed. All that hormone firing, people are on a high, man. They're used to be on highs and lows. To some degree, we're addicted to our hormones, and it's not even that Mars or no Mars. It's that we're sort of like on that loop. And you can see people, for instance, a lot of people in life who are bored. They start picking a fight because they're bored. Right. They want to be entertained. Right. They want to get a high off of that. Right. And that is an abuse of Mars. It's abuse of hormones. It's abuse of others, right? It's a lack of creativity and laziness, frankly. Going to the low-hanging fruit there to do something. But it's those type of behaviors that are going to have to end as well. But here's the deal. We have a new moon tonight, okay? I think it's at 7 sometime, somewhere around 7 o'clock hour at Eastern time. And Eastern time. And it's at 9 degrees, and 9 is a Mars degree. So the last 5 new moons were at 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. And this is a phenomenon I saw early on, looking at step numbers that other astrologers never looked at because they were obsessed with the numbers. But you have this series, this campaign by God to reset a step number. And this time it's 6 months of 9s, 6 9s, ending when the sign is a 9, which is really intense and cool. So to me, that's the rebirth. We've been rebirthing our ego for 5 months now, every new moon.
Right.
This one is the spiritual intention activated. So activating the new spiritual intentions. And that means what you wanted to accomplish here on a broader scale, on a deeper scale, on a compassionate scale, if you don't know what spiritual is for you in your life. We have one more next month, which is going to be an eclipse. So it ends with an eclipse, a huge bang, and a huge supercharge. And that, in my opinion, will be the launch of the Wego. Now, before it launches, Venus goes retrograde in a couple of days. So now the
Yeah.
women go down. Boom.
Right. Right.
So the earth must be getting tense, at least for heterosexuals, right?
Sure. I
Because men and
know.
women
I
have
mean,
not been able to hook up.
right. Right.
Yeah. I mean, but it's about to be like pride for the next 6 weeks
Right.
because, like it's all testosterone, no feminine energy.
But
You know,
but again, like to simplify all that, I just think all this is really what's preparing for everyone to get to the heart of the matter of things. All this kind of like the sluggishness, the bitchiness, all these things, the density, coming from the place of even the primitive energy and kind of awakening from that. All this is pushing us into be more heart based, and I've been noticing through my clients, I've been noticing through even through myself and those that I work with too. We having that understanding of dichotomy, like I'm physical, but this. So I really think all this is bringing us into that, the union of the dense and the spiritual. And so, and a lot of people I think misdefine spirituality. I always see spirituality as learning more of the self. That's spirituality. The more you learn about yourself on any dynamic, any dimension, that's what spirituality is. And so we are all different paths of that, and so that's why we can't judge where someone's at in their evolution, what they need to experience. And so that's another part. I feel like this is also pushing us into understanding and seeing how everybody is fitting in and connecting in like a Rubik's Cube in reality to where we are coming from different karmic experiences and how that's playing out and how it's rendering, this experience for our own learning curves and karmic. So I just like all this is preparing for that. All this is preparing for that massive amount of perspective on the spiritual levels, collectively and individually. And so, yes, I that's these times, these retrograde times to me are really much just defining where we're going. So I always, advise my clients and especially those around me, and especially to myself, to make sure I understand what it's really telling me and how to prepare for that. And it really has been more heart focused. And like I said before, with this bitchiness and focus on the primal deprivations, that is actually, there's heart beneath that to realize, I don't want this. I don't like this. I don't appreciate this. I don't need this. I can't handle this. So all that density is resurrecting the heart purpose and the soul purpose by the very disdain that we're having or the stress that we're having is really kind of reflecting and bringing it out of us, I feel like, so
yes.
it's a
What's the only
preparation.
thing left to do? It's like, well, I can't have sex or be mad at somebody. I guess I'll go to God.
Right?
I mean, at that point, you're left with it. But also,
I guess
you're
I'll write
left with
that
like
book, right? I guess I'll do that hobby. I guess I'll start that
creativity is
business.
God. Yeah,
Yeah.
creativity is God. So ultimately, let's leave them off here with this because we're going to move on to our topic of ascension, which you've covered.
What's that pretty?
You've covered. So we're right. Monkeys are writing in the background of the next script. The last thing is just advice for the week. So what's going to happen is this new moon is going to activate your new Mego. The Mego is going to be fully activated. Okay, so or the Wego, I should say. The Wego will be fully activated. Means you're going to feel. I felt a huge surge as soon as Mars went direct. I felt a huge surge, like Superman, like just coming alive, like damn, But I'm a net 9 guy, so we were low on our batteries, and I got a lot of stuff done. Then Venus is going to go down. So when Venus goes down, so does temperament, like temperance. Like people don't have patience. Patience comes from women, okay?
Right.
Men. It comes from Venus. It comes from being open. I'll stay open. I won't close down yet. I won't close down yet. I won't close down yet. So you don't close the story. You don't close the conversation. You don't close business. When Venus closes, everything closes. Sorry, out of business, and that raises tension. So we're going to get a test of these Wegos for the next 40 days because not only are they new, like little dogs that pee and hump legs, but they are untempered by Venus. They're not going to have any Venus temperance. So we'll see how it goes. But we'll be reporting as we watch more and more hair grow on Scott's face from the Martian energy just coming in.
My chest, everywhere.
I still can't grow hair. It doesn't matter. Yeah, kind of funny. So funny. But I think we have to do a quick little update here. So next week we'll talk about it. But next week with this new Wego, the theme is going to be now interacting with everyone in the new Wegos. And it's like, how's that going to work out? I don't know. Stepping on toes, getting in people's way. Let us know in the comments what you're experiencing because we do form all of our comments for our own AI system. Now, that said, I think it's time for a little break here. I don't know. We'll go on to Ascension, actually. I'm reading the script. It's really fascinating. So our topic of the week.
Reading the script.
Yeah, what a topic. What an idea. Thanks, Erica, for taking the time to write it so I wouldn't read it. Ascension. So, this is the buzzword of our community. It's, and it's a buzzword I can't help but use because why do you join Serious Joy? Well, so you can be seriously joyful in your life. Like, that's why we want to help you that. But that happens to be the tools of Ascension that get you there. Like, Ascension is, I mean, the first question is, what is Ascension? Answer that question, Scott. You've got 30 seconds.
Well, yeah, 30 seconds. But the buzzer comes in. I really feel Ascension to me is a broadening of perspective, right? Ascension to me, a lot of people you think Ascension is like climbing a ladder. I would say Ascension is like the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn about the collective, and that perspective expands, and you're able to formulate more of a 5D perspective in a 3D world. So that's means what Ascension means. But that's kind of the ultimate, I would say, paradigm of that. But there are people even on lower levels of maybe earlier soul evolution, they're still ascending, they're still climbing that ladder of growth, and a lot of that ascension can happen through very dense, negative, evil, bad lifetimes where even though they are doing it maybe unconsciously when they're living those lives, that's still an ascension process because the soul is still learning and experiencing. So the more we experience, the more conscious we become of our experiences and why we're experiencing what we experience, more aware of the divine purpose. That's kind of the master of ascension when it comes to the spiritual definitions where we're at from this perspective, talking about ascension. And really knowing
you think it's from physical to spiritual motives?
I'm sorry.
From physical to spiritual motives is Ascension.
No, because I think it's the physical that brings out, the spiritual motive. We express the spiritual motives through physicality. So to me, it's more about the understanding and awareness of the soul purpose and the soul evolution is where Ascension is, right? Because we're here to learn and to grow. So, those who are maybe a younger soul, so to speak, they might not be so aware of their incarnations and why they're experiencing what they're experiencing, just very heavily focused on the physical density, but they're still evolving. They're still ascending through those experiences. I think when we talk about ascension, when it comes to the spiritual world in our spiritual communities, we're talking about ascension that we're more aware of where we've come from, what our actual divine purpose is. That is, I would say, our form of ascension in the spiritual communities. But that doesn't mean those who are not conscious that aren't ascending either, is what I'm trying to say. The ascension is a natural process of life, a natural process of our soul purpose, whether we're conscious or not. I think we're spiritually more conscious of how we're ascending and why. So I think that's more on a spiritual level, our level of ascension is that.
Well, I mean, you could just say from the age of Aries to the age of Pisces, we were very brutal in the age of Aries. It was all about war, Yeah. Until the Hun, like all these major conquerors in the age of Aries, and in the age of Pisces, still a lot of war, but war for the purpose of God, war for the purpose of righteousness, war for the purpose of this higher thing. So war ascended to. It's more than just rape and pillaging. It's actually about God. Like, we ascended it. We took it to a higher kind of understanding. I feel like we always have said, people tell me, do you know that the Earth's climate is rising in temperature? And I say, yes, it has been since the Ice Age. And that is ascension. The Earth has been ascending in temperature for a long time.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, so, which is my argument, just is like, are we sure? Do we know everything? But the point is like, it seems like things are always going up. It seems like that's the direction of God, is low vibration to high vibration. Much like heat rising, it seems to be a natural consciousness. I personally believe that ascension comes down to vibration. That you can basically measure the vibration of anything. Like Dr. Emoto did this with freezing water. He would yell at a hamburger or yell at water and then freeze it. And like the water is like, it had like horrible crystals. And he'd be like, I love you, water. I love you so much. And the water would be all pretty, right? Seriously, there's videos of him doing it. It's really funny. So it's like, okay, so a higher vibration creates beauty, higher meaning coming from the heart versus coming from the genitals, right? Genitals being, sex, procreate, kill, die, survive. That's the base root of us. So I feel like if you want to model for ascension, you could even say it's what chakra is it based from. Is it based from the root chakra, or is it based from the heart chakra? Is it based from the crown chakra? I believe in 5D, from what I hear, we sort of cut off at the solar plexus, and we're going to be less reliant from, the mid-waist down, which doesn't sound fun to me. I'm like, wait a second. That's not why I came to Earth. Like the whole point is we have waist down. But so that's the point. Let's see how that goes.
But I think that those of us who talk about ascension should understand where we're at with our ascension. right? Because like we're saying before, the ascension is a natural process that's happening whether you're conscious of it or not. All because we're spiritual, we're aware of ascension, and we are ascending, and we're more conscious of that. We need to take heed on those who are ascending that are not conscious of their ascension and see, this is part of our ascension in spiritual, those are spiritually
We
illuminated.
need to take heed on them, is that what you said?
Then we need to take heed and understand that, but people who are ascending, in different ways, we need to understand that, not judge them for that. I see a lot of people judging people because of where they're at in their own ascension process, because we're aware of ascension. It's like, well, they're at a perspective that we're always ascending. If we understand that, I see too many people judging people for where they're at and how they're presenting themselves because it's not in their line of ascension. To me, that's not being very ascended, actually. When you're ascended, you can accept.
Reminds me of the Catholic Church,
It's very.
It's like, I'm a good Catholic, but she is not a good Catholic. It's like, wait a second,
right?
Like,
And that's what I'm saying. We have a lot of that. Yeah, we have a lot of that in our own spiritual communities where it becomes that way. And we have to understand that is not what ascension is. Ascension is really understanding that we can look back when we talk about ascension. We understand why it all connects in, and that ascension is that natural process, like I was saying before.
You know what? Spiritual people, let me tell you, I see their charts. I'm one of them, and what happened is like. The reason why they're so spiritual is because they just spent the last 20 lifetimes developing their spirituality. But guess what? They did zero ego development. Zero. They weren't like throwing shit. They weren't like in wars. They weren't throwing, they weren't doing any of the, macho stuff. And now when they become popular, they don't know how to handle it. They have no sophistication with that ego. Right. So it's ironic and paradoxical. The side that says get rid of the ego still needs to overcome it themselves. I see it a lot. I see it. A lot of competition amongst us, and it's just like, really, So just because you know doesn't mean you behave. Just say that. Sure. Behavior comes from sophisticated egos. Egos are what allows you to behave and move.
But if we're aware of that, then we understand. Okay, I got to ascend from that ego. I ascend from that judgment. I have to ascend from that, type of, dense, limited point of view. So I think that we all have that. We're all not there yet, I would say, and in the sense of our physical walk, in a sense.
Oh, no.
We wouldn't be in density. So
we're not even at the beginning of it. I mean, let's talk about that. So first of all, is everyone meant to ascend, or is it just billionaires? Like, who's meant to ascend? What do you think? It's gonna be the whole Earth. Some people be left behind.
Starlink, or what is it called? Is it called Starlink? That's it. That's who's ascending.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, exactly. Only those people? No, of course not. I mean, like I said before, I'm being repetitive, but ascension is a natural process. Ascension is something that occurs whether you realize it or not, whether you're conscious of it or not. I just think those of us who are conscious of ascension and ascending, we're highly more evolved to becoming more 5D, in our point of view. So it's for everybody. We're all doing it. Every single one of us. When you curse out someone when you're driving, you curse at someone for cutting you off. That's something within you that's being revealed, and in time you'll start recognizing, hey, why am I so edgy? Why am I being set off all the time? Or the time when you actually have a relationship with someone that's cheating on you, you have a cheating partner again. That's a choice for you, a experience for you to understand how you're ascending through things that becomes relevant to you or revealed to you in a sense of saying, why do I have these patterns? And when you start recognizing those patterns, then you start understanding, well, I got to do something different about that. We do that all the time, and that's what ascension really is learning from the mistakes, and some people don't learn from mistakes, but not learning from mistake is also a part to ascend from, putting your head in the sand. A lot of people.
I want to put in a little caveat. I mean, I feel personally that ascension has to do with rising above. So, but you could argue that the Renaissance was ascension into the arts or, the scientific, the Industrial Revolution. Here. Ascension into science, and I don't see it that way. I think for me, ascension is heart-based. It's very simple. Does your heart love the idea of cutting someone off? And do you love the idea of cutting someone off in traffic? Really, you love it? It's something you'd think about and romanticize about at night. It's like if it doesn't come from the heart, then it doesn't belong. Like if it doesn't come from the heart, it doesn't belong.
But that's what I'm saying is that when you have these experiences like that, of that type of withdrawal that way, and we start time we start recognizing the behavior isn't serving us, we illuminate to I just now grown from that type of expression. That's what ascension is. So ascension to me comes from the lower levels up to a higher. Ascension is not. That's what life is about. Is about ascension. That's life. Period. Right. Yeah. We might be on a different aspect of that trajectory of ascension, where we're more conscious of more 5D and self-healing in that sense, more consciously. That's just where we're at, spiritual beings. But the question was, is ascension for everybody? I'm that's a natural process of what life is for, is that process.
But, it's a very private thing, ascension. And so one question that our producer had is, are more people ascending? Well, the truth is it's very private. Like, only you know if you yelled at that person in traffic. I don't know. Only you and God know that. Only you and God know if
Right.
whether or not you did it better next time.
Right.
Better as in heartfelt. Let me just be very clear.
Yeah.
Whenever I say better, I mean heartfelt. If your heart
Right.
feels it, it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I believe. That's a simple filter that no one can deny and everyone understands what that means, right?
Yeah.
So the heart, I think, is a filter. So are more people ascending? Not in my highway. You know, I'm not seeing it. I am seeing awareness of it. I'm seeing awareness of, ever since COVID. COVID was a weird blessing because it made people see things they did not see before. They did not see that they were working 60 hours a week and they were giving their life away. They did not see that they hated living with their wife. They did not see that they hated their children. They only saw it once COVID hit. Like, there was a lot of awareness that happened. And one of the things that we were aware of is suddenly how primitive we are. People, masturbating on cameras on Zoom meetings, like, whoa, a lot of people's most primitive stuff came out. And what came out also was, am I happy with life? That was a big question. Am I happy with life? People ask that for the first time in America. I don't know about Europe. I think they're more evolved in some ways than we are, emotionally anyways. Americans are very young emotionally, so we may now just be getting to the question. You guys tell us in Europe what you're feeling. But and that was a huge question. Am I happy? Because if the answer is no, then the next question is, well, what do I do about it? How do I come out of this, right? Which is a basic primitive state. Wanting happiness and joy is a very pure and good thing, versus wealth or whatever. People, I want money. Let's just say you want happiness and joy.
Yeah,
And you can't fake a joygasm. Nobody can fake a joygasm.
But Christopher, and the point I'm trying to make before about the ascension thing, right, and what it really is, right? It's not just the fact that we're trying to get out of planet Earth. Oh, I've awakened, now I'm not in density. That's not necessarily ascension that many people claim it to be. I said, I've noticed many people who are not spiritual or don't have a spiritual life who are so much more happier than people who are in spirituality. So and they found they're living from their heart. They're not aware of anything spiritual, but they're just living from the heart. They're in that nature. So that person, to me, is ascended. Because they're living from the heart, they're heart-based, they're not practicing all the spiritual modalities. But I'm just saying,
it's on and off. You have someone 24/7. Even the Dalai Lama's got to be a pain in the ass sometimes.
But that's why I think this is an important discussion, because I think people are defining ascension in so many different ways.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. And what's interesting, and this is a good segue to our commercial. Unite the Light last year, it felt like 5D. I'm not even. Yeah, honestly, I hadn't felt. It was an authentic, like, whoa, I am feeling an incredible high in my heart, a happiness and optimism, like something's about to happen. And we felt that for a good 2 or 3 weeks after. And I think it was because we had the combination of so many high vibration people in the same room who knew how to keep a high vibe and who would continually thwart any kind of negative. And be like, oh, I'm not, it was funny to be there. It was like, oh, I'm not trying to be greedy. Oh, I know you're not trying to be greedy. Like, I know this. Let me get the door for you. No, let me get the door for you. Like, it was like a little obnoxious how we were all going out of our way for each other, which also made us go, oh, how much do we do this? But the vibe was legitimately high. And it reminds me of what I've heard about Atlantis and ancient Egypt. So from what I understand, Atlantis, the earth was at a higher vibration back then. It was at 5D. It was at 5D. That means that we were in this state of bliss all the time. Atlanteans were very lazy. All they did was eat, have sex, fool around. A lot of things were just done for them already. They were living in kind of a perfectly designed society where they didn't have to really there was no competition. You just go to the supermarket and grab food when you want it. You just grab it. It was trusted that you wouldn't take too much. It was a weird society in that sense. So when they fell and then the earth fell, that's why it's such a horrible wound. Because it wasn't just that we fell as cavemen. We fell from heaven to shitty, dark, lower vibration earth, where it's really hard, really stark. Nothing makes you feel good. And people go, what do you mean? Well, you wake up and feeling good one day, right? And you wake up feeling bad one day. Well, imagine waking up feeling good every day. That's ascension. You have ascended. You are this higher vibe by nature. And so I felt it. It's an energetic thing. The pyramids, a big theory about the pyramids were they were actually pumping out and ascending the energy. So as the earth started to descend, apparently one of the things the pyramids was to vamp that stuff back up. And so around the pyramids and around the pyramid cities, apparently you were high, happy high all the time. Because those things were just waving you with good vibrations. So that said, there's no pyramid to go to, but we do have tickets on sale this Friday for Unite the Light 2. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. Have you heard anything about it yet, Scott?
I've heard it's pretty damn good. I mean, the part one was great. So I always like to put the part twos are always kind of the best out of the thing. Like the second ones of things for somebody always tend to be my favorite. So and I'm two. It's Aqua. So I hear from my guides from Spirit.
Oh, for your guides? Your guides are telling you that? Holy shit.
My guides saying it's going to be a banger.
Wow. Well, the sun will conjunct Uranus over the weekend, and we have 2 days. The first day is going to be like innovators and speakers, people who are like changing their industry, changing our industry, bringing change to it that we didn't know you could do. The second day are like power panels, where we're going to be like really powerfully talking about certain topics that we think are urgent matters for light workers. So that's the second one. And we've added a third day, Scott.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
It's called Afterglow.
Okay. So it's like the after party, huh?
It is. Well, what it is, yes. It's basically, first of all, it's a secret. We have what we call whisperers. Like you have to sign an NDA to get there and to get behind closed doors. And this is all designed to be pretty much sitting around talking amongst each other about what your plans are. So it's like it's basically a lunch, a dinner, a pool party and a dinner.
Like a manifestation support group.
Well, it's basically like, it's really us bringing all the good people together who make a difference so that they can help each other. It's like all the bad people in the world all conspire to win. Why the fuck aren't the good people in the world conspiring to win? And that's what Afterglow is about. It's like we have the event, and there'll be some surprise people at Afterglow, some surprise stars that we didn't bring to the first two. So it's going to be interesting. So if you feel that pull to Afterglow, you definitely should. I think we have a promo. Adam, do we?
I want it.
I hope so.
I believe we need to come together once a year. Thank you for believing in yourself. Thank you for believing in us. Where do you need help? What resources do you need?
You are much closer to making your dent in social media than you think.
You're that leader.
Yeah, so we will have tickets up on Friday. We're doing final, like we wanted Mars to go direct, and we want to slip it right before Venus went retrograde. So we're going to slip it in a weird moments though. But it's going to be fun, and it's going to be affordable, and it's designed to be in different packages. So if you have a minimal budget, you just buy so much. If you have a better budget, you buy more. So we're trying to be everything to everyone in total light worker style. So I'm excited. It's May 17th, 18th, and 19th. 19th is Afterglow on Monday, which is basically, again, just laying around the pool and talking to each other and hearing from industry experts. So we call those whisperers. And whisperers will tell you things that you will not hear anywhere because they cannot be published. So there's a lot of secrets. You get this in inside business. Inside business, you get inside business, and they're like, well, here's how it really works. They're like, you start to find, like at this, Polaris Club or Kiwanis Club, that turns out the sheriff don't ever fill out them forms, right? Like there's things like that. There are things that you just don't hear about until you're in the industry. Yeah. So we're trying to create that culture in Afterglow where we'll share some of those tips. So none of us get hung up by the gray tape or the red tape.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there should be a level of exclusivity, to what we do, and a little more prestige, right? And so I think that, I think it's good to kind of put it on a pedestal like that. There are, like you said, there are dark people in the cult doing like rituals for their agenda, so we have the same power to do the same thing. So
2,000 chickens for sacrifice. It's really hard to track down.
That's why the price of eggs have gone up so high.
So anybody, for the record, anybody can go. It's expensive to go to that. And it's expensive because it's opulent. We're just going to have really good food and really good stuff. Like we're just treating ourselves like, like royalty. That's why it's expensive, the Afterglow. So for the record, we're not trying to keep anybody out, but we're going to treat ourselves like gold. And many of us have finally made it to where we're abundant or we're getting to those stages. So we're going to treat ourselves like gold, like everyone else should, and be an example in that route. So we'll have more on that next week. We'll have tickets live.
Sounds great. Yeah. I still need to post my presentation from last year. I haven't done that yet. I was thinking about I need to get on.
Thank you for reminding me. That was going to be our strategy for advertising, and I just remembered. Yeah, good call. You just filled Adam's plate with a tough word.
It's just I have to go through, and I like all the jokes I made. Like the audience was not recorded, so you don't hear it. So I'm like, I got to boost that up.
Oh, is that your excuse, Scott?
Yeah, because it's like it's not the effect. You can't hear the audience, interacting.
That's true. We can put that in. We have some studio audience like from sitcoms and stuff. Put in there.
Put an AI audience in there, right?
It was good. It felt really good just for our industry to be speaking up and standing up together. And
Yeah.
honestly, the theme of Unite the Light 2 is celebrating our ascension. But
I mean,
I
hello.
feel like, our industry has ascended to the next level. Like we're legit, man.
I
We're
agree.
not just like the neon palm reader on the corner anymore. We're
Right.
not the freak at the psychic fair. We're not.
Or Cleo, call me
We're
now.
respected now. I have doctors coming to me. I have really
Yeah.
intelligent, really professional people who come to me for advice, and that's not stroking me. That's stroking astrology. It's a brilliant system. I
I
just
agree.
mastered it. I didn't. I don't know all that. It's astrology. So we have the people who've gone way science come over to our side, and I feel very legitimized. They won't tell. I mean, they're like, "Don't tell my bosses." Fine. We won't. But I feel like we have ascended. We have ascended to the next level, whatever that is. And I feel
Right.
like when robots are all you have sex with and pick your fruit, all you're going to have to do is ascend or descend. There's really no other choice.
Yeah.
What do you do all that
Yeah.
free time? You're either going to descend and like merge with some sort of product of Elon Musk and go off into cyberspace, or you're going to go up. You're going to use spiritual technology. You're going to learn how to astral project. You're going to learn how to do cool things. I had a
Yeah.
woman on my show last week. She's like, "I can teach you how to remote view in an hour." That's in an hour. I can teach anyone in an hour. I'm like, "Are you shitting me?" Well, that makes sense. As if the CIA did it. It must be
Psychic
trainable in an hour,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, but
They use
it's
psychic
like
spies, and that's the thing that's funny, that we're so, as psychics, we're so like delegitimized, and so I'm like, but the CIA used psychic spies for remote viewing, and they still use psychics for legal purposes. So, it's just another way to take away the authenticity of what we do. But I think majority of people, and I think people are ascending to where we're getting the recognition for that. We're not being looked at as clowns or like weird people. We're looked at as like, because a lot more people have had their own experiences. A lot of people have had their own like psychic abilities or psychic awareness or talking to spirits. There's been a lot of people who've been experiencing for themselves. So I think that in itself, with that ascension in our collective, has legitimized what we do. So I've been saying in the next 5 years, it's like certain that this ability does exist, and there's something behind astrology.
The mainstream media has been the evil here. They deliberately put a spin on it and call it stupid. And I mean, I've worked for mainstream media where they forced me to do that. I'll tell you right now, like the biggest proof of telepathy that everyone can say they have done right here is when you look to the side of the highway and some schmuck looks at you at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And you make eye contact. Whoop. How often does that happen? You're just like, whoop, eye contact,
Yeah.
eye contact, eye contact. Like that is telepathy right there. There's so much evidence in our daily life we don't even pay attention to.
Yeah.
We don't talk about, right?
Yeah.
So,
But just like any type of evolution or detox, just side effects, to even when we're ascending, especially when we're
what are
diving deep into, what's that?
what are they? Let's list them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for one, like a lot of people when they're going through, an ascension and realizing who they are on the heart level, then what happens is we have past life aggressions that can resurface, or even past unresolved trauma that need to be purged, start knocking on your door. So a side effect could be like you're having to face deep-rooted karma or deep-rooted trauma that has been gone unnoticed for quite some time. That could be stressful and difficult. That could be a massive purge, especially if you're not unwilling. And another like it's one I'll let you jump in too is that when you ascend and you become more rooted in your heart and your own voice, people are not going to like it. Many
People want to stay down won't like it. Yeah,
they're going to either want to like make you feel pressured or ostracize you because you're thinking differently, and so there's going to be a lot of that. You're going to feel almost a sense of being alone. But I always say it's not so much being alone as spending more time with yourself. You know what I'm saying? And spending more time with who you are and getting rid of the distraction and distortion so you fully can. So that's another side effect. Many people feel like they're maybe alone or they feel like they're not understood. I'm like, that's another positive side effect to that. Chime in.
I think it sounds like you're on a farm, just for the record. Yeah, I agree. I think for one, I hear the dogs fighting. It sounded like chicken stuff for a minute. I'm teasing.
It's just energies. It's an insane thing.
Yeah. Daddy's Mars is back. I think so. So ascension is that you have lighter. You go lighter. Okay, lighter means higher or faster. So faster, ascension is faster. All right. So if you are, let's say, heavy in your body, you have literally a lot of weight on you, and you're told to go fast. How does it feel? It feels like shit.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of weight and you're told to run, it feels like shit. It feels like shit trying to make a lot of weight move fast. That's really what we call ascension sickness. That the universe is calling for you to speed up And the rest of you that's used to being slow is weighing you down and pulling the opposite way. And so it's a bit of a tug of war inside. Almost everyone I know has gotten sick in the last 2 months. Why? Because we did globally ascend. We did. We went up to a higher octave. The entire Earth went to the higher octave. So I honestly think, we had a question about this earlier. If you don't ascend, then you just get sicker and sicker and sicker because the Earth keeps going higher and higher and higher. And if you don't want to bring all that dead weight and bring it up to a higher vibration, you're just going to be a pudge on the ground. I think you'll be left behind. I think you'll die of disease. I think for the most part, you'll die of disease.
Yeah, and because you're staying in this betwixt energy, it's like better, but then you're not doing anything about it. So you stay in this betwixt energy, so it will become denser and denser and denser until you're pushed forward to release.
Yep.
And
you have a heart attack or whatever. Yeah,
right. How many clients have you seen in that in between state, and they don't let go, and their health issues become greater and greater and greater and greater and greater because I would say when we know better, that's when the challenges get amped up, and we're not actually taking that ability or even power that we have. It does intensify the density. Even those who have abilities, when those have when you're younger and they have abilities,
when you know better. I just want to say, I'm going to score that. When you know better, it suddenly makes it twice as bad. Because there's something about knowing better. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. When you know you're doing wrong, now it's twice the weight.
Well, that's repression. Because when you know better, you're not doing that's repression, and we're here to express. And when you're repressing the soul, that a lot of bad things happen when you start repressing the soul expression.
Well, so yeah,
better.
Yeah, soul signed up to ascend. Everyone was given an ascend brochure.
100%.
The problem is you got here and you're like, fuck.
Right.
This is now in the brochure. It's you mean I gotta quit Kentucky Fried Chicken? Sorry, sir, that's part of the ascension process. Why you didn't tell me this before? Colonel Sanders, relax. But it's stuff like that. You just are like, whoa, and even God, I mean, it's a lot more painful than I thought. I mean, even I was eternal optimist. Once I hit a lot of my darker stuff and my dense stuff, wow, it's really hard. It's really hard.
And another side effect that came to mind is that people tend to, when they start getting that essence of ascension, they want to tend to rush it now. Let's do more.
Yeah.
And it's
That's America. How long is this ascension going to take? Because I got something to do at 5.
Right, I have something to do. Can I flick this? Can I just like it and then call it a day?
Can I just buy my way in? Yeah.
Right. And so, and I think we have to understand that there is no time limit on this, that we have to take our time with that too. Even when you get that momentum started, let it just be organic and natural. Some people are trying to acquire too much knowledge at once that they end up sabotaging their growth and evolution, actually, and stall. That's a paradox. They try to speed it up, they slow it down in a sense. So another side effect is you tend to want to go too fast or too much. And I say that's a good thing to be ambitious, but we also have to be able to understand, what are we capable of, and we don't want to overextend ourselves too much. And because those side effects, when you tap into power, especially spiritual power that you're not aware of and you don't know what the hell it is, it could bounce back very negatively if you deal with the power that you're trying to exploit, or a lot of people that try to tap into spiritual entities as a way to get what they want, and it will backfire on them because they're trying to exploit something just by trying to accelerate life in a sense. So
yeah, that's the ego still driving. I mean,
right.
The ego wants to be first. It wants to skip steps.
And when you send, you start feeling I have some power here, and then so it can tend to sabotage your growth because you're trying to do too much too soon.
Yeah, and that's a lot of light workers. There's a lot of light workers who are, I'm a Reiki /this/that/this/that/this/that. And it's just come on, guys. You can come up with one word that encompasses it, like God or whatever. But it's that's the ego still at play. You know what I mean? Slash. Just start with one and then open the door.
1 or 2, yeah.
That's ego wanting credit. It's chill out, man. Just take the credit. You don't have to ask the world for it.
Well, that's a good thing. But that's a good inspiration for me about another side effect, because I feel like then people feel like that even though it might not be ego, they might feel like they have to prove themselves because of this is real for me. It's like the born again Christian, right? I'm saved. Everyone's gonna know Jesus now. So I think people tend to have to prove it now. Look at all this, and they try to it is very ego, right? And so we don't have to prove this space. Like we said in the beginning, this is a very personalized process. It's a very personalized, experience of ascension. So we don't have to prove it to anybody.
It's
but
between you and spirit. It's between you and your guides, you and your angels, which you do have them. You and your team upstairs. It's really between you. You came here. If you're on the earth now, you came to either you can't just observe it. You have to actually participate, or you're going to get sick and die. I'm pretty sure of that now. Just seeing what's happened in the last few years.
Oh yeah.
And it's a combination. People are like, it's the foods that are killing us. Well, okay, that's how God made it, so you get sick and die. You know what I mean? Like, the ascendant ones didn't eat that food. So it's, who knows what the mechanisms are? Who cares? The truth is that you're going to be left behind and sort of wiped out. And I asked the Pleiadians, is it true we're going to have 2 timelines? And they said, no, there's only one timeline. There is one timeline, and Earth will ascend, period. It's been decided. It's happening. No one's stopping it. And so, if anything, if aliens were concerned of anything, they were concerned of being slowed down. And why are they concerned about being slowed down? It was slowing them down.
Right.
They're like, we're part of you, idiots. You shit in our water, it comes to our galaxy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and that's what I said. When you guys nuclear bombs, you know why we don't like them? That vibration hits our galaxy.
Right. Yeah.
You're shitting, farting all over the world, Earth,
Right.
and over the universe,
Yep.
and you're stinking the place up, and we're a little
Yep.
annoyed. But you're young apes, so we can't just intervene. We tried that in Atlantis, and that blew up. So now we have to play like we're not there. So I mean,
Right.
the point is like, it's the whole galaxy is waiting for this to happen.
I'm going to say, yeah, the Ascension is not just planet Earth. It's actually galactic. It's all interdimensional, like, in that sense. So it's like we evolved, so are the higher dimensionalities are evolving too. So, and I think that, again, we have to understand our participation in that process. We wouldn't be pushing it, we wouldn't be forcing it. We'll understand our role in this incarnation and so forth. So I just see so many people so disingenuous in what they think they have to do because of Ascension, that they're not living from the heart purpose and what their true calling is to raise the frequency of their individual perspective as well as collective. Like you said, they're putting too many slashes. I got to do this. That's like, no, that's not your heart purpose. That's not what your contribution is to the awakening of the species, right?
I think there's only one judge.
Ascend,
It's your heart.
right?
It's so simple. I mean, I can't believe people have a hard time with it. What's the fun way to handle this? What's the fun way?
Oh,
The fun way is the ascended way. I'm telling you, you take the fun way and you're ascended because you're coming from your heart. So if you take the hard way, you're choosing to descend. So it's so simple. It's like, but it's the fun way. What do you have a problem with the fun way?
I know.
I mean, like, what's the problem?
Or even
Right?
just an empowering way, because a lot of people say, well, how could it be fun if I go through so much shit? I'm in so much pain. It's like, well, then what if you find empowerment through your pain? Don't you want to feel empowered of your circumstances, empower over your experiences? Like, don't you be the dictator of your happiness, not the circumstances? So even that, it's like either it's fun or it's just very empowering.
There's always a rite of passage, like I love going out, but I don't love taking the shower, ironing the clothes. It's like the process to get there is never fun. You're going because once you arrive at that state, it will be fun. That's the same with Ascension. Like the process up is not fun. It's especially now. It's like a lot of disease, a lot of things going wrong in the body, a lot of tired, a lot of sleeping, a lot of lack of energy, headaches, a lot of headaches because that's the brain not being able to process the signals. A lot of stomach aches, throwing up, diarrhea.
Yeah.
That's because the body is getting rid of the low vibration stuff. So it's gross. And no species had to do it.
But I just think that we still, and I've learned through my Ascension process to put fun into those things. Like,
so when you have the diarrhea, you're like, hey, we have diarrhea.
Hey, what is? I'm getting my 6-pack back. Great. So I always find a way to make it like beneficial. Like COVID for me, I'm like, I enjoyed being in my isolated state and creativity, and I enjoyed that, and I understand it was a great thing for the collective in the long run, and so I found ways to make it beneficial and to create things and to inspire yourself to do things that I was forced to have the time to do. So a lot of people saw COVID as a biggest like detriment to the species. And a lot of people saw it as a blessing in disguise. So and I think that to be very simplistic this way, the more you become objective and unaffected by things, that's true mastery of your ascension process of going more into 5D. Because like I said, everything's an ascension. We're just talking about ascending out of density because we're spiritual. But I think that the more you become objective and unaffected and see everything as a blessing in disguise, that life is working for you and through you, then you've actually allowed yourself to remove yourself from heavy density and become more 5D. Because that's our goal as spiritualists. I was trying to say to you before, Christopher, is that it's all ascension, but we as spiritualists want to ascend when we're not bound by density any longer, right? That's our modality of ascending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to
So
appreciate it unless you work your way there, though. I want to end the show with our title. Our title was Ascension in the New Pisces, but that we spelled new K-N-E-W. And I say that because Pisces already know how to live high vibe. They already know. They always knew. They always knew. They always knew. They know. They don't not know. It's that they're not motivated to do. Like that's their thing. And so we're not going to graduate the age of Pisces until Pisces go by what they already know. You already know what you have to do. Do it. Okay? Because if Pisces don't do it, then no one's going to do it. If no one does it, it's going to be fun to do it. You know, like at the end of the day, Pisces are God's spiritual providers. They when they live in when they're happy, when a Pisces is happy, the whole room calms down. The whole room. You just watch it. It's a metaphysical thing. They are like the cushion. They are like they are the ones that sort of absorb negativity, reprocess it. And that's, they were unhealthy. So when they absorbed negativity, they were getting more unhealthy and drinking and escaping because they came packed with so much negativity of their past lives. But they've had to force to squeeze that shift out. And now we really need Pisces. We really need Pisces to just go where you know you need to be. Just be where you know you need to be. You got to be in the room. That's it. Just be in the fucking room.
Right. That's right.
And that's it. You calm that shit down, and you're a modem for God. So you like log in. You're like a local area network at that point. Like everyone's logging in through you. It's like we all have every sign has a job on the earth, and that'd be a good episode, Adam. Every sign has a job on the earth, and I think for us to get to this ascension, we're all gonna have to get to doing what we do best. So that's my final.
We could totally do that, actually. Do it by sign. What's your purpose on this planet? Do it by sign. That'd be interesting. We haven't done reads like that in a while.
No, we haven't. Yeah, and you'll be surprised. Aquarius is cleaning bathrooms. That's what Aquarius are here to do. Clean bathrooms.
No, we're busy bombing the bathrooms, not cleaning them. But I just wanted and to close, I want to respond to a commenter who said, why do we have to feel sick to ascend? I just want to say in closing, because I think a lot of people might have that question, it's that it's a side effect. It's like when you get healthy and you detox, you get sick because you're purging toxins. So it's kind of a side effect of that. So that's why we're saying today is like when you're having your ascension process and you have those side effects and you get sick, you want to make sure you're overly replenishing yourself and nurturing yourself, just like if you were detoxing from something physical. So that means you're keeping your boundaries. You're not allowing you're keeping yourself free of congestion when it comes to the media, and you're allowing yourself to replenish both spiritually, mentally, and physically. So it's just a side effect. You don't have to, but don't drag it out either. Understand we got to replenish through the ascension process too, because we're purging.
You know what Gary Lyman says at Human Garage? We never get sick. We're actually healing. When you're sick, your body's actually healing itself. It's not sick. It's actually going through a healing process and purging what is bad. So we have to reframe that. You're getting well, actually.
I believe that we're always healing. It's like, what are we doing that's preventing it? Like, or
correct.
Keeps it
we're in the way.
Right.
So
exactly.
What we call sick is actually we're getting well. It's that we were sick and didn't know it, and now we're getting well. So I think reframing, we'll have to do another show. I'm sure we're going to do a lot of ascension shows, but one ascension show would be good. It'd be like, quick tips for ascending, like, little quick tips for ascending. One of them is reframing the way you think about it, because a lot of times it's framed up to be doomsday, low vibration, something bad's going to happen. Almost everything. You're like, I'm sick. You just reinforce the fact that you're sick by saying that. So it's like, so we have to learn how to use some of the magic, and we'll probably do tips. That'd be a good one for us too.
And we should talk about like how we're harboring the physical body and how we're how we're treating it, and because I think people just tend to like put the body to shit just because they're spiritual and they don't realize you're still eating poorly, you're still taking poor care of your body, and so you're living in contradiction. So we should do an episode about that too, because I think that the synchronicity or putting the body and spirit in sync is important in that way.
I agree. I'll have to show up nude on that show and just show you how ugly this is in here. I'm so guilty of that.
We want viewers. You don't want to ban the viewers. We want viewers. You want to push them away there, Christopher.
Bring ratings. I don't know. Okay. We'll see what happens. Well, that's all we have for today's show, guys and gals out there. Join us next week. We're going to dive into Venus retrograde and what it's like to have women offline and how we're going to rebalance the divine. I think this Venus retrograde, women going away for 40 days, we'll see how that restores balance. I think it's the beginning of the end of patriotism, so to speak. So being, is that right? Patriarch, yeah.
Patriarchy,
right.
Yeah. Patriotism is good, yeah.
Patriotism. Right. Well, it could be patriotism too. That's the irony. I was sitting there going, well,
right. The extreme patriarchy.
People like, well, that's a Freudian slip. But either way, y'all do not put up with the shift show this week. Lead out loud.
Yeah, loud.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.
I'm glad this finally ascended to the end.
Oh my gosh, this energy has got me discombobulated.
I know. I think it's all the mirrors in your house. You can touch me how cute you are. Oh my God,
But I
I
enjoy not being so Virgo. I enjoy being a little loose.
Oh, are you?
know?
Are you more Pisces now?
No, my Aqua is being more prominent than my Virgo rising. I'm just being like flow, not really,
That's
being so
true. You haven't
structured.
let